As a younger man, Auron was a devout monk warrior. However, one day he would be enlisted by Lord Braska to serve as a guardian on his upcoming pilgrimage to defeat a threat known as Sin. But before departing, Braska would also enlist the Blitzball star Jet. Arriving in the ruins of Zanarkand, the three would be debriefed by Yunalesca, who bestowed the final Aeon to those who completed the pilgrimage. Despite his protests, Jet would sacrifice himself as the Aeon, who would also request Auron to look after his son Titus. But both Braska and Jet would be defeated. Afterwards, Auron would confront Yunalesca, outraged at Braska and Jet's sacrifices. But Auron would be mortally wounded, where he would make his way down the mountain, where he would run into the recently disgraced Kamari, who would also request the Ronso warrior to protect Braska's daughter, Yuna. Auron would reach the outskirts of Bavel, where he would succumb to his injury, but would become an unset spirit. Over the years, Auron would watch over Titus, but 10 years later, during a Blitzball tournament, Sin would attack, and using a portal within Sin's body, Auron would transport he and Titus 1,000 years into the future. Later, meeting up with Titus on the island of Luca, he and Titus would become Yuna's guardians, where they would travel to the ruins of Zanarkand, where they would do battle with Jet, and after a long drawn-out fight, Auron would be sent to the far plane after defeating Sin, where he would reunite with his friends. Sephiroth's birth was a result of the Genova project led by Dr. Hojo, who studies the remains of an extraterrestrial entity mistaken for the race of Cetra, an ancient people who could speak to the planet. After his birth, Sephiroth would not gain this ability, but he would be respected as a hero after rising through the ranks of soldier. Near the end of the Wutai War, Sephiroth would befriend Angel and Genesis, but the two would go rogue. During mission to Nibelheim, Genesis would reveal Sephiroth's past, where Sephiroth would slaughter almost everyone in the town, but would be confronted by Zack. After a brief fight, he would overpower Zack and knock him out of the reactor. However, Zack's best friend, Cloud Strife, would impale Sephiroth through the back. However, this would only stun him and would retaliate by impaling the younger man. Using what strength he had, Cloud would toss Sephiroth into the reactor, seemingly putting an end to him. 5 years later, Sephiroth manipulated Cloud's team's hands with the black materia, where he would travel into the depths of the planet, where he would transform into Safer Mode. After facing off against Avalanche, he would be forced back into his base form, where he would fight Cloud one last time, but would be ultimately defeated. As a result, Cloud would send Sephiroth's spirit into the livestream, where he could do no more harm. Well, what's up material for another remake match that I'm really looking forward to doing, with the two legendary swordsmen from Final Fantasy facing off, with the legendary guardian of Spirit Auron facing off against the legendary member of Soldier, Sephiroth. Now, due to this being a remake, my resources will be the same. For Auron, his research will be coming from his fight with Cloud, and for Sephiroth, I'll be taking his showing from Christ Court all the way up to Advent Children, so no Dissidia or Kingdom Hearts. Now, with that said, let's get this show on the road, starting with their physical capabilities. By the end of Final Fantasy X, Auron would be a 35-year-old man, standing around 5'9", well into his prime, with a thin yet muscular build. Out of all of the members of Yuna and Braska's pilgrimage, Auron is the strongest of the Guardians. He's capable of cutting through large vines with a few swings of his sword, and due to him being the Juggernaut of Braska and Yuna's pilgrimage, leads me to believe that he'll primarily focus on strength rather than speed. However, what he did have is durability, but we only have one good example of durability. After being severely wounded by Yunalesca, Auron crawled down a mountain all the way to Bavel before succumbing to his injury. However, Auron would only suffer one weakness, and that's speed, due to primarily focusing on upper body strength. Therefore, he wouldn't be as maneuverable such as Kamari, but that didn't stop him from being one of the greatest guardians that Spirit has ever seen. Nonetheless, in terms of overall physical capabilities, Auron, to my knowledge, is one of the toughest combatants in Final Fantasy, second only to Sephiroth himself. By the time of his defeat at the hands of Cloud Strife, Sephiroth will be a 27-year-old man standing around 6'1", with a thin yet muscular build. Due to being injected with Genova cells while still in the womb of his mother, Sephiroth's physical performance was great on the hands, and as is mentioned by Dr. Hojo, Sephiroth is a much more stable specimen. He had best skills above powerful members of Soldier such as Genesis, Angel, and Zack. He's shown to easily cut through a Mako cannon, redirect falling debris, and overpower Cloud Strife several times. In terms of speed, Sephiroth is very fast. He's capable of keeping pace with both Genesis and ANGO at the same time, and easily overwhelms Zack, who can dodge and maneuver around gunfire. Durability is a mixed bag, but he's capable of taking fireballs from Genesis, which are shown to blast open a lab wall, and Sephiroth took dozens of these and remained unfazed by it. However, attacks such as an impalement from Cloud Strife was able to badly injure him, leaving me to believe that Sephiroth has a damn good amount of resistance when it comes to magic, though not so much when it comes to physical attacks. Both combatants are certainly the top dogs of their own world, but only one of them has what it takes to back up their game. When it comes to strength, of course Sephiroth takes it. Now, not to discredit Auron, since he has a damn good amount of strength to throw, but Sephiroth has casually held his own against members of Soldier despite holding back, and the members of Soldier are on a similar level to Sephiroth. After being enhanced by Genova cells, speed easily goes to Sephiroth. Auron's speed-wise is probably average, and due to having a power-focused offense much like Cloud, Auron wouldn't focus much in this area, but just take away being enhanced by Genova cells, and that's what you'll get. Durability is honestly a toss-up, but I'm just very slightly leaning towards Auron. This man has crawled his way down a mountain and made it to the outskirts of Bevelle after being wounded by Unalesca, and it's also proven that Sephiroth, despite having a damn good amount of magic resistance, is not exactly the tankiest character in Final Fantasy. While Auron is the toughest guardian of his party, but overall, what you get here is someone who built himself through hard work, while the other is enhanced, stable specimen of Soldier. So I give Sephiroth the edge in physical capabilities. Auron's ultimate weapon is dubbed the Masamune. The Masamune is a greatsword, and after being enhanced by the Sun Crest and a Marseille, the sword gains several abilities. The first gives Auron a break damage limit, being able to deal piercing damage. He can attack on the first turn. His overdrive mirror can power up faster, counterattack regular attacks, and as a side note, Auron's damage output will increase the lower his health is. Sephiroth's weapon is dubbed the Masamune. The Masamune is an Odachi-style blade measuring about 8 feet long, mainly designed for fencing rather than slashing. A unique function of the blade is its ability to send out projectile slashes, but these can be blocked by well-timed deflection. This category is pretty clear-cut. Though Sephiroth's Masamune is likely longer than Auron's Masamune, Auron's sword is simply better in every way. His sword is better at defending, his strength increases the lower his health is, and for every time that Sephiroth attacks, Auron can counterattack, so it's really no competition. Auron gets the edge in weapons. Auron has a plethora of abilities to debuff his opponent. Power Break lowers an opponent's attack, Armor Break lowers an opponent's defense, and Magic Break, of course, lowers an opponent's effectiveness in magic. His overdrive attacks consist of Dragon Fang that sends out a shockwave to attack all opponents. His Tornado creates a tornado that sucks up all opponents, which he can set on fire to deal more damage. Shooting Star strikes an opponent like a baseball, and Banishing Blade allows him to ignite his sword to deal out large amounts of damage to one opponent. After becoming one of the livestream, Sephiroth gained a number of abilities. His first ability is the ability to use magic without the use of materia. He can fly and levitate the use of his Black Angel Wing, manifest his Masamune at will, and create illusion clones of himself, and take control of other Genova enhanced beings. He also has access to 2 limit breakers. Shadow Flare surrounds an opponent with Black Energy Orbs, and Octoslash delivers 8 powerful enhanced sword strikes. While this is one of the tougher categories to break down, both combatants certainly have abilities that will cancel out the other. Auron's debuff will greatly affect Sephiroth's combative performance in terms of defense, strength, and magic damage output to keep him in the fight longer. However, Sephiroth himself with just his one Angel Wing will make Auron's overdrives completely useless due to them needing his opponents to be on the ground or in his range. So to break the stalemate, we have to look at whose magic will affect the battle more effectively, not just in one-on-one engagements, but in general. And I have to say that Auron's magic is overall more effective, since due to Sephiroth being more of a swordsman, he will only rely on magic as a last resort or to blast his opponents away, who he doesn't find worth his time. But other than that, Sephiroth has a basic use of magic. Since Auron isn't a Genova enhanced being, Sephiroth's ability to control those beings will be ineffective. Then there's his illusion clone, which I'm not even going to sugarcoat. Creating clones of Sephiroth is pretty much as equivalent as battling a swarm of clones that Madara has created. So this will be a huge problem for Auron. But at the end of the day, I have to favor Auron. His spells greatly affect Sephiroth's performance, which will allow him to drag out the battle longer to wear Sephiroth down over time. So I give Auron the very slight edge in magic and special abilities. Just like all combatants who use weapons, I'll be using Star Wars lightsaber fine points to better analyze and illustrate how a combatant approaches combat. During his many years as Guardian, Auron will be a powerhouse. From his approach, he'll be proficient in Form 1 Shisho, Form 5 Genso, and Form 3 Surisu. Form 1 trains the user to use wide sweeping strikes to deal with groups of opponents, but a well-trained opponent can easily counter this form. Form 5 trains the user to block or parry before counterattacking with a devastating assault. Form 3 is taught to apply a solid defense to force an opponent to give into a fit of rage or until they become fatigued. As an overall combatant, Auron takes a straightforward power offense while having a solid defense. However, opponents who can apply such a high speed focused offense can pressure Auron enough to eat through his stamina. As one of the great swordsmen of Soldier, Sephiroth will focus on overwhelming his opponents, so there's no question that Sephiroth will be a prodigy in Form 1 Shisho, Form 4 Taro, and Form 2 Makashi. Shisho trains the user to use wide sweeping strikes to deal with groups of opponents. However, the form can easily be countered by a well-trained opponent, but he'll fix this with Form 2 Makashi, which specializes in blade boy combat that also trains a user to use feints and parries to slip through an opponent's guard, but the form lacks power behind strikes. Form 4 on the other hand trains the user to use acrobatics and aggression to overwhelm an opponent with high speeds, but two major flaws that the form has is that it's not well designed to use close quarters, and the second weakness is that it eats up a user's stamina. But due to Sephiroth's enhancements, he wouldn't suffer this weakness. As an overall combatant, Sephiroth is capable of taking a fight to his choice of location, but if he were to face off against an opponent that has an ability that he hasn't seen before or couldn't counter, Sephiroth would be left open to be taken off guard. But other than that, Sephiroth is a highly skilled swordsman who is more than capable of decimating anyone who is falling behind, whether it's physically or in terms of swordsmanship. As overall combatants, only one of these combatants has what it takes to bring down the other. And unfortunately for Auron, despite being the best power duelist, he's using an approach that Sephiroth has already seen before from his fights with the likes of Zack, Angio, and Cloud. The only difference is that Auron is simply a better swordsman. However, Sephiroth's approach is the right approach to take down someone like Auron. He has the skill, experience, and the physical performance to do so. The best that Auron has is a solid defense, a defense that is going to irritate Sephiroth, which will also give the Guardian some decent moments to get in some counter, but that will only last for so long. The longer that the battle drags out, the more Auron's stamina will begin to rapidly decrease. What you get here are two polar opposites. Auron is a dedicated power duelist with decades of experience under his belt, and for Sephiroth, you get a prodigy speed fencer. So while this will be no easy fight for both combatants, Sephiroth overall has the skill and overall experience to get past the Guardian's guard and wear down Auron the longer the fight drags out. So I give Sephiroth the edge in combat skills and tactics. Let's just say that Demon King Mundus has put together a tournament, and whoever wins gets to return to the land of the living, with Auron and Sephiroth being the first two combatants. The two take their combative stance, with Sephiroth being the first to act, close distance with two combatants entering a blade lock, but Auron is taken aback by his opponent's strength. The two break away with standard swordplay, with Auron on defense, as Silverhand Man wells down on Auron's defense. But the Guardian counters with a power strike that, to Sephiroth's surprise, staggers him. Taking the opening, Auron brings his blade down, which Sephiroth blocks once again, staggers him due to Auron hitting him with power break. The two return to standard swordplay, but now Sephiroth is finding it difficult to pressure Auron. The Guardian manages to turn the battle in his favor, being able to get in hits of his own that manages to, Sephiroth's surprise, hurt him. Taking the opening, the two swordsmen enter another blade lock, but this time the angel blasts Auron with a lightning spell, but this only staggers the Guardian. However, this gives him enough time to strike Sephiroth with armor break. By now, Sephiroth, despite being able to keep the Guardian on the defense, on the flip side, Auron himself is getting hits of his own that are starting to put him on the back foot. The two break away, both taking a good amount of damage. With the given distance, Auron activates his tornado attack, but the angel simply scoffs as he reveals his black angel wing and takes flight, dodging the tornado in time. Sephiroth swoops down, but Auron had anticipated this and strikes Sephiroth with magic break. Once again return to their swordplay, with both combatants getting hits on each other, and the Silverhand Man casting spells that Auron manages to block, but few manage to him, but due to his debuffs are barely even staggering the Guardian. Now Sephiroth has chosen to keep out the Guardian's range, with the distance activates Shadow Flare, but this doesn't even have the high damage output that Sephiroth was expecting. Returning to swordplay, by now, despite Sephiroth being on the back foot, Auron at this point is starting to become tired from Sephiroth's high-speed offense. At this point, both know that they don't have much left and must hit each other hard and fast. Sephiroth swoops down at high speeds at Auron, who activates Shooting Star, while Sephiroth initiates Octa Slash. The two clash, resulting in a powerful shockwave. Auron manages to parry the first strike, but the 7 other attacks knocks Auron into air, followed by an onslaught of fast, devastating sword strikes, leaving the Guardian bloody and beaten. Meanwhile, Sephiroth is revived and returned to the world of the living, and with that, I declare Sephiroth, the one-winged angel, the winner. Well, I have to admit, this turned out better than I had anticipated for. Despite having a feeling that Sephiroth will probably win, Auron actually has a solid chance. The problem with Auron is that he's too focused on defense, and as I mentioned with someone like Ezio, having a solid defense is not a bad option. But to beat Sephiroth, you either have to match Sephiroth in a certain area, or use a set of magic or abilities that Sephiroth hasn't seen or dealt with before. While Auron's spells would allow him to hold out for a while to match Sephiroth, he unfortunately has the wrong approach to take down the one-winged angel. Now, I'm not saying that Auron is inexperienced or has a bad approach, because I can promise you that much like Sephiroth, there are more than enough characters in Final Fantasy that Auron would absolutely destroy in a few minutes. I'm simply saying that Auron's approach, despite being the best power duelist in Final Fantasy, his chosen weapon, along with his spells and overdrives, are enough to bring down Sephiroth. However, Sephiroth can easily evade Auron's overdrives by simply flying away, but it's going to take more than firepower for Auron to beat Sephiroth. Now, if he were to amp Auron with Genova cells, then Auron will probably be able to beat him, but that's not the case this time. And I'm not disappointed that Auron lost, since these two are at the top of my 5 all-time favorite Final Fantasy characters. But if you think that the Guardian can take down this one-winged angel, I'd like to hear it, because this fight could really go either way. And with that, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, follow my Twitter if you care about that, and I'll see y'all next time.